Alright guys, this is part 2 of how to establish a kingdom in the world today. And jumping right back in to establishing a stable society that provides more than just the basic needs. Man needs more than just the basic needs, okay? How would people deal with, say for example, if you don't have internet, how the heck are you going to not be dull if you can't contact other people, which is happening right now, right? You cannot go and meet people. And if you don't have internet, which will become a reality for a lot of people, how the heck do you stay connected with things, with life? Because to a degree, it seems as if the internet gives us a bit of life, right? If we're dry and dull emotionally, we can just pick a website, go there in our mind, enter into that, and be entertained to something or elated, okay? So normally these things would be provided through, guess what? Social activities, right? You go with your friends, you play music, you play games, you talk, have a party or something like that. Or you would be, for a lot of people, like to just study, okay? And they get something out of just studying. Just reading and building up knowledge is actually they become friends with the author of the book, okay, and they can actually become it almost becomes like a conversation, okay. You can pick up a textbook, start reading it, and you can pick if you can pick up the author's voice in the book, you actually learn far more than if you didn't pick up the author's voice in the text, okay. That requires empathy, and that requires emotional engagement, which can be lost in some people due to circumstances of their life or their own choices. But all those things can be regained, okay? But you need to have things like that. You need to have places to study and learn, experiment to, uh, and I have to say this properly in the proper context, to build up a scientific um, knowledge base, okay? And I don't mean that in the way that many people are saying and using these things today, which is to just invoke science as if it's some type of word that you just throw into your sentence to make your point right when it actually isn't, okay. Using the word science or study or research in your sentence doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it true. So what I'm referring to as science is the collected body of knowledge that man has attributed, not attributed, man has contributed to. And these things can consist of proven laws or theories, right? Where a theory is generally understood to be true and accepted, but it hasn't been proven, okay? So that's the definition of a theory, okay? So if someone rejects a theory, it's like, okay, well, they can. We commonly understand this to be true. We don't necessarily have all the fine details of this, but this is as far as man has on a certain topic, and we'll call that a theory. But it's not saying that it's true, okay? So, but you need to still do this as a society. You need to study, you need to continue to learn to advance, or I should say, bring out more simplicity and direction in the life of the people, okay? Because if the people do not have direction, don't have a vision, a goal, they will literally do nothing, and they will start to deteriorate. There's it's some type of sources talk about, right? There's a phrase called to break one's spirit, right? Their spirit is broken, whereas they don't really feel like doing anything anymore, and they start to fall down, right? And a part of that can come from lack of hope, as in you're going to take away their ability to grow, thrive, and profit and do things that they like in their life, okay? That comes through something that's happening right now. That's going to happen to a lot of people. And I'll just write what that is. Right? This is going to hurt a lot of people not just physically, but psychologically, right? Because you're going to say to somebody, it doesn't matter how much you work, you will get the same as everyone else, except for the leaders of those regimes, right? You won't get the same as them, of course, like but all of you plebeians, right? You will get the same. So what is your incentive to work then, right? Why the heck are you going to go out and sweat if buddy over there is doing almost nothing and he's getting the same food ration, and right? Like, why? So productivity will drop, and the incentive to make things better loses because there's nothing to profit, there's nothing to gain, and profiting is not a bad thing. Okay, so what happens there? Productivity drops, things become more expensive. But if you're getting paid the same, guess what? You can afford less and less and less. And once that happens, food productivity also drops. Where then again, you also people start to starve, right? That's how it happens. Okay? It's not a good thing. Yet so many people in our society right now are calling for it. They want it so badly. It's like, okay, you go and have it. You go and experience what that is, but I'm not going to be a part of that. So the next step in this society, if you can provide those basic needs, and obviously as I'm talking about this almost as like a theory, there's a big difference between that and practical world, okay? There's stuff that needs to be built, constructed, water, food, everything like that. If you're heating with wood, right, you need to have everything a year ahead of time so that it can dry out. Otherwise, it'll be wet and you won't be able to heat, right? So all of these things have to be put in process now, okay? Getting things in order for next year, and more so, getting, there's some little simple things. You can have a well, right? But guess what? A little piece will break. Maybe it's a little diaphragm, deteriorates or ruptures, and now you have no water. So what the heck do you do? Right? That piece is made out of rubber. Are you gonna make it yourself? A lot of people can't. So what do you do, right? So you have to have people who can fix these things and still provide outside of the society. And the only way to do that is to be able to actually live off the land. That's your most assured way of survival. Not even just to survive, but to thrive off the land. And it's more than possible. How? Well, it's been happening for thousands of years without internet, without electricity, without cars. People have thrived. So why is it that, even 60, 70 years ago, people can easily have 10 children and provide for them well? Yet now, despite having so much more technology, somehow we can't provide for that many children, right? Isn't it weird? Isn't it weird that despite the technological advances, that production has gone down or things are way more expensive? So what is that? Why is that happening? Well, it just seems like the more that we're going towards a global government, a globalism, the more our production drops. Isn't that weird? Isn't that strange that would be the case? It's almost like some people have been saying that for a long time and they've been ignored. Anyways, we're gonna go forget that, right? Or, I mean, you don't have to forget it, but we're gonna move on. So if you can provide for your neighbors, right? If you can help a few people, you can help organize them and direct their work and their energy towards a goal that is achievable and can thrive in different aspects of what they need. Social aspects are being provided for materially. They will continue to support you, and because they are thriving, they will have more resources available to expand that. Um, don't necessarily need to expand, but to a degree, you should. And part of that's so that you have a greater means to defend and protect that society or kingdom that's being established. Why the heck would you need to do that? Well, because if you're doing something really good here and everything else, oh, come on. Okay, if you're doing something really good here and everything else here is chaos, how long before this starts moving in here, right? And that's not a bad thing that you want to help more people, right? In a greater way, but they have to be properly integrated into your society so that they can contribute and not detract from it. So that's why you need to have borders. You need to, right? It's not shutting the door to people, it's regulating the flow, right? If I were to just take a hose and say I've created some let's see. Say I've created some let's push it back a bit. Okay. Say that I've created some type of device, right? And it uses, I don't know, like this. It's a little Arduino microcontroller, right? Let's use electricity, okay? If I were to plug this in, so it needs 5 watts. If I were to plug this into the wall, how much voltage is going to come out of there? Or sorry, it takes 5 volts. If I plug it into the wall that has 120 volts, what do you think is going to happen to this? Yeah, it'll explode. There's no question about that. It'll explode. So in order to do that, you have to take the voltage and regulate it. You have to bring it down and slow down the flow of electricity so that this will not be overloaded and burn out and fail, and then you have nothing. Okay. So that's the purpose of borders, is to be able to slow down the flow of people coming in, but also to see who exactly is coming in. Because it would be absolutely stupid to bring people in who want to destroy what you've created. So you have to check who's coming in. You need to do that. That's not even like, has nothing to do with race. It has nothing to do with what the person's sex is or anything like that. It has to do with principles. Is this person, doesn't matter who they are, going to contribute to this? Well, what are the principles that we uphold in this society? And if they're adverse to that, if they don't want anything to do with that, that's not a good person to bring in, because they will cause harm to the common good of that society. So you need to have borders, some type of way to regulate who's coming in and going out. Okay? That's not a bad thing, it's a necessary thing. So, and if anybody tries to say that it's racist, it's like, no, it's not. It's just like this board. Okay? It is not racist to regulate the flow of electricity to this computer. Okay? So I think I'll stop it there for part 2, and I'll start part 3 in a second.